Good evening and welcome to the briefing room. I'm Madhavdas G. Now, the West Asia conflict, ladies and gentlemen, is once again sending shockwaves through global energy markets, and India is feeling the heat. Fuel prices have been hiked across the country, with petrol becoming costlier by 2.61 rupees per litre and diesel by 2.71 rupees a litre. This is the fourth increase in just 2 weeks, pushing the cumulative rise to around 7.5 rupees per litre. Now, state-run oil marketing companies are continuing with price revisions as they work to recover losses after holding rates steady despite rising global crude oil pressures. Today, we decode what this means for you. Let's start by telling you how the fuel prices have risen over the last 11 days. Let's take a quick look at the prices over here. This was on the 15th of May, where a 3 rupee per litre hike was announced. On the 19th of May, 0.90, just short of a rupee per litre hiked. The third hike was on 23rd of May, again 0.90 rupees per litre. And now the fourth hike, where we're looking at a 2.61 rupees a litre hike that's actually come out, which is, of course, going to impact on every citizen, everyone who's, in fact, not just paying for the fuel, but also the larger inflationary impact. We'll be decoding that. However, the country's witnessed this steady rise in fuel prices. How's this petrol hike going to impact on India's big metropolitan cities? Let's take a look at the price in Delhi. It's at 102.12 per litre. That's a hike of about 2.71 rupees. In Kolkata, 113.51. That is 2.87 rupees in terms of a hike. In Mumbai, it's 111.21, a 2.72 rupee increase. In Chennai, 107.77, or a 2.46 rupee hike as far as petrol is concerned. What about diesel itself? When you talk about high-speed diesel in Delhi, it's at 95.20, again a hike of 2.71. Kolkata, 99.82, just 18 paise short of 100 rupees. It's an increase of 2.80. 97.83 over here in Mumbai as well, a hike of 2.81. And in Chennai, 99.55, or 2.57 rupee hike that we're looking at in these big cities. Now, clearly, of course, this is something that cannot be ignored in terms of the geopolitical complexities and the stress that it imposes on the government and its financials. The oil manufacturing companies have largely been bleeding ever since the war began. So we're going to tell you exactly why the government really had no option left but to increase the fuel prices. But first, listen to what the common man is saying.
वो तो अपना मिडिल क्लास पीपल पे तो उसका फ़र्क पड़ ही रहा है। जैसे हम भी जोमेटो में काम करते हैं, तो अब प्राइस हाइक होने की वजह से हमारी भी अर्निंग्स पे भी फ़र्क पड़ रहा है।
सर, अभी हम लोग तो अभी रेट तो बढ़ा नहीं है, जो डिलीवरी का वही मिल रहा है, लेकिन पेट्रोल बढ़ गया है रेट। पहले 103 रुपया था, अभी 109 रुपये के आसपास।
The inflation rate and the increment which we get does not match. Okay, so it becomes difficult for the common man, and I would say when fuel prices increases, overall all the cost of every goods and services increases.
आम आदमी, हम लोग या गरीब आदमी, तो अभी साइकिल चलाना पड़ेगा।
बहुत प्रॉब्लम, हम लोग को काम करने में बहुत प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है। मार्केट दाम तो एक ही है, सब सामान हम लोग बेचते हैं सामान, बहुत प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है हम लोगों को।
देखिए, प्रॉब्लम तो थोड़ा हो रहा है, लेकिन क्या करें, देख रहे हैं सब कुछ। सब अगर कर रहे हैं तो ठीक है। हाँ, इसके लिए थोड़ा सोचना चाहिए।
कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, 2-4-5 रुपए बढ़ गया तो क्या है उसमें। विश्व किधर चला गया, कोई को खाने को नहीं मिलेगा एक देश से, हमको तो 2-4 रुपए बढ़ गया है, कोई वांदा नहीं है। ठीक है सर।
So you heard it from the common man, but what really are the big factors leading to this hike? The first is, of course, war-related global oil disruption, the ongoing conflict having pushed crude oil prices up globally speaking. Second is, of course, the oil marketing companies, which are facing heavy losses, and they've been absorbing losses of about 1,000 crores a day is what we are told. Part of that burden now is being passed on. There's also the higher import cost of crude, because India depends heavily on imported oil. The global crude price hike had to eventually impact on India. The rupee pressure and the supply stress that we're looking at combine together to make fuel more expensive for India. Now, this is why the government has also highlighted how the disruption in the global supply chain has left governments across the world with minimal options, apart from a rise in fuel prices. Here's what the finance minister said.
West Asia crisis, Strait of Hormuz crisis, Russia-Ukraine war crisis, Iran, Israel, US war crisis, the supply chain disruption crisis, the increasing fuel price, fertilizer price. And they're not minor increase, they're very serious increases, all of which will have to be paid through foreign exchange only. So these are going to be challenges, but I'm confident, and I'm saying this with responsibility, I'm confident with the guidance of the Prime Minister, we will be able to handle those challenges which are not of our making.
But here's what you might be wondering. If the crude oil prices are actually falling today, and if the violent phase of the war is actually over, then why are prices rising now? For that, let's first tell you what the prices of the Brent crude have been like in recent days. We're looking at the peak war price of Brent crude. This was at $126 a barrel. This is on the 30th of April. As of 5 p.m. today, Brent crude is at $97.43 per barrel. So there has been a drop of close to $29 a barrel. What then is driving this surge as far as Indian fuel prices are concerned? Because if they're actually falling from the peak of the war, what is making the government and the oil manufacturing companies, marketing companies to increase the prices now? Here's why you're facing a delayed impact of what transpired in Middle East a few weeks earlier. The first, oil companies are now trying to recover their earlier losses. There's also, of course, the factor, let's bring the second reason in as well. The second reason is that oil firms generally recover earlier losses after price stabilizes. The third, $100 crude oil still is very expensive for the import-dependent Indian fuel market. Now, there's also a reason that the weakening rupee has further added pressure on oil import costs. In fact, this was also highlighted by Union Petroleum Minister on the 19th of May, where he mentioned how oil companies have been facing losses of nearly 1,000 crore rupees per day owing to geopolitical tensions. Listen in.
वेस्ट एशिया में युद्ध चल रहा है आज करीब उसके कितने 80 दिन होने वाले हैं पिछले 4 साल में हमने ये दूसरा मेजर युद्ध है पहले रूस और यूक्रेन के बीच हुआ वो 4 साल फरवरी 2022 में हुआ और अभी पिछले 80 दिन में ये युद्ध चल रहा है तो इसमें कई हमारे पास नई समस्याएं जिनका सामना करना पड़ता है तो मुझे बहुत खुशी है आपको ये बताते हुए कि भारत एक ऐसा देश है विश्व भर में जिसमें ना कच्चे तेल की ना पाइप नेचुरल गैस की ना एलपीजी की कोई कमी हमने होने दी एंड समय पे माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने निर्णय लिए हम वाराणसी में काशी में हम ये चाह रहे हैं कि जो पाइप गैस कनेक्शन थे वो ज्यादा तेजी से जो एलपीजी कनेक्शन थे उसको ज्यादा तेजी से पाइप गैस में कन्वर्ट किया जाए पर अभी इस समय कंपनियों का 1000 करोड़ का एक दिन में ओएमसी जो है वो लॉस हो रहा है अंडर रिकवरी तो और भी ज्यादा पर स्पिरिट बहुत कोऑपरेटिव थी.
But viewers, even if the prices have risen, the price for 1 litre of petrol isn't the same across the country, owing to multiple factors. So if you want to refuel your vehicle today, let's tell you where you'll find the costliest fuel in the country. If you're from any of these states, you might want to take the Prime Minister's appeal on lowering usage of fuel a little bit more seriously. Let's take a look at these states. There's Andhra Pradesh at 117.88 rupees a litre. There is Telangana, where it is at 115.13 per litre. Kerala is at 115.24 per litre. In Bihar, it is 115.06 per litre. And in Madhya Pradesh, it is 114.78 a litre. So the most expensive being Andhra Pradesh. Remember, these are the top 5 states where fuel is the most expensive in our country. And this is due to a variety of factors. Here's why the prices vary in each state. Each has its own set of taxes and cesses that are imposed, which affects the fuel price in your state. Here's what we're talking about. Centre's excise duty as far as petrol is concerned. Now, this is, of course, at 3 rupees a litre. In Andhra Pradesh, there is 31% VAT plus 4 rupees per litre additional charges. In Telangana, there's 35.20% VAT. There's also, of course, other states which also charge a huge amount of VAT. Let's quickly get that up on the screen. As we just mentioned, there's Kerala as well as other states, including, of course, 30.08% sales tax and 1% cess plus 3 rupees a litre cess. These are the taxes that add up in Kerala. In Madhya Pradesh, it's 29% VAT and 2.5 rupees a litre VAT plus 1 rupee cess. In West Bengal, 25% VAT plus 13.12 rupees a litre and 1,000 rupees per kilolitre of cess in the state of West Bengal. So this is essentially what's going into making really the taxes and the prices much higher in these particular states. Now, the rise in prices have led to a bitter political fight between the government and opposition. While opposition is questioning the rationale behind the price hike, the BJP in turn has asked states to lower the taxes and cesses on fuel.
Situation in West Asia, which has disrupted the entire oil supply and impacted countries like India, is well known. As far as Prime Minister Modi's government could absorb it, it did. Even now, the losses of the oil companies is much more. The increase is only a small percentage. States can reduce their VAT and certainly give relief. That power is there. It's been done in the past. But the most important political point is for the Congress party. Just because there's a Mahabharat inside their party in Karnataka and all their leaders are rushing here once again in the drama, who will be chief minister, kaun banega Mukhyamantri, they have suddenly tried to make an issue.
However, the Congress party on its part is questioning why the centre did not reduce fuel prices when the crude oil prices were actually lower. They claim that the oil marketing companies actually did make major profits back when crude oil prices were lower, and in turn fleeced the common man. Here are the figures that they are citing. We're talking about, of course, financial year 2025-2026, and the cumulative profits over here was 77,280.65 crore rupees. It's 130% growth over the previous financial year 24-25. They're also citing, of course, the quarterly profit January to March 2026, which is at 19,470 crore rupees. Now, this is a 40% growth over Q4 last year is what is being cited here as well. And this, of course, as far as the profits by these particular oil marketing companies, which the opposition parties are citing. Let's quickly listen into the reaction coming in on this.
वेस्ट एशिया क्राइसिस के चलते हमारे इंपोर्ट्स तो अफेक्टेड हैं, जैसे कि 40% ऑफ आर क्रूड इंपोर्ट, 90% ऑफ आर एलपीजी इंपोर्ट एंड ऑलमोस्ट 65% ऑफ आर नेचुरल गैस इंपोर्ट. बट all efforts have been made to ensure the smooth supplies of petroleum products within the country. और इसके चलते जैसा आप जानते हैं कि रिफाइनरी प्रोडक्शन एलपीजी का इंक्रीज़ किया गया है एंड इट इज़ टचिंग अराउंड 50,000 टन पर डे नाउ. रिटेल आउटलेट्स पर कुछ स्टेट्स के अंदर पैनिक बाइंग देखी जा रही है, जैसे कुछ डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स ऑफ गुजरात, महाराष्ट्र और यूपी. और जो मेन कारण एनालिसिस के बाद जो समझ में आ रहा है वो ये है कि कुछ तो एग्रीकल्चर डिमांड है और इसके अलावा कुछ बल्क जो डिमांड है वो भी रिटेल आउटलेट्स पर शिफ्ट हुई है. इसके अलावा जो प्राइवेट सप्लायर्स थे उनकी डिमांड भी पब्लिक सेक्टर ऑयल मार्केटिंग कंपनीज के रिटेल आउटलेट्स पर शिफ्ट हुई है. इस संबंध में सभी स्टेट्स और यूनियन टेरिटरीज़ के साथ एक वीसी की गई है और वहाँ पर भी इस पर डिस्कशन हुआ है और मॉनिटरिंग के लिए स्टेट गवर्नमेंट से और यूनियन टेरिटरीज से रिक्वेस्ट की गई है.
Now, the unfortunate reality for those living in India today is a rise in fuel prices could have a cascading effect on prices of other essential commodities. What are we talking about? The likely impact. Let's take a look at the various price categories. In fact, the fuel hike pushes up logistics as well as freight cost, and that's the economic impact that it has, cutting across various industries because these logistic prices are faced by different industries. The higher transport cost has raised delivery charges as well. The impact third is that inflationary pressure could arise due to the same. This is, of course, the fourth impact in terms of the cascading effects. Also, costlier raw material movement, which hits manufacturing potentially. Manufacturing costs may also rise due to this kind of fuel hike, is what we are told. And MSMEs face tighter margins and operational stress. So that's another impact that it could have. And companies could pass on these costs to consumers or cut margins. This is the kind of impact that this is likely to have. Now, what is, of course, the impact of this as far as various other categories are concerned? Let's take a look at the next set of graphics. If we can quickly get that up on the screen. This, in fact, is the first category. We're talking about milk. There's already rising procurement and distribution costs and marginal increases in milk prices that have been reported from different parts of the country. Groceries, costs of logistics on the rise, and therefore the prices of groceries could go up. Vegetables, the diesel used in tractors as well as transportation of the vegetables from the farmland to the plate, that's going to be an important factor as well. Delivery services, where fuel price further hits the company's margins, and therefore could these delivery services also become dearer. Cab and auto fares. Only e-buses and EV cabs can escape the fuel price pinch. And when it comes to transportation as well, expected to see a hike over here as well, given this huge hike that we've already seen. Now, this is, of course, as far as the various services and products that are going to be, getting more expensive. Now, opposition led by Rahul Gandhi has accused the government of pickpocketing the common man. Opposition calls the Prime Minister inflation man as well. They've come out to say that inflation man Modi strikes again. Pockets he quietly picked, bit by bit, had warned of economic reform. They say this upward trend will continue. That's the attack coming in from Rahul Gandhi as far as the Prime Minister and the government is concerned. Listen in.
तो ऐसे अच्छे दिन किसी के भी ना आए, ऐसे अच्छे दिन किसी के भी ना आए, महंगाई आसमां को छूती जाए, पेट्रोल डीजल भी सेंचुरी लगाए, ब्रेड दूध के भी लाले पड़ जाए, सिलेंडर में गैस ना भरवा पाए, सोने चांदी पे भी टैक्स लगाए, कि जीना तो मुहाल हो गया, कि जीना तो मुहाल हो गया, महंगाई का भूचाल हो गया, अच्छे दिन का अकाल हो गया, झूठ बोलिए।
सरकार शायद इस मुगालते में कि लोगों को आभास ही नहीं होगा, धीरे धीरे तापमान बढ़ रहा है, उस मेढक की तरह जनता अभ्यस्त हो जाएगी, लेकिन जनता की जेब पर डाका डाला जा रहा है और जनता ये बखूबी समझती है। जनता ये भी समझती है कि जब वैश्विक दाम कम हुए थे तब आपने जनता को राहत नहीं दी थी, तब मुनाफाखोरी करी थी, और अब जनता का गला रेत रहे हैं। जनता पर महंगाई की जो मार आप कर रहे हैं उससे जनता त्रस्त है, परेशान है, और इतना आक्रोश है जनता में जिसका आपको अंदाजा नहीं है मोदी जी।
However, what many of us fail to realize is how the prices of petrol and diesel in India are still relatively far lesser in terms of the hikes than the prices in various developed economies across the world. Let's take a look at these figures. The European Union sees petrol at 179 rupees a litre, diesel at 184 a litre. Let's look at United States, where petrol in the United States, we'll quickly get that up on the screen. This is, of course, the Indian subcontinent except India, where petrol is at 135, diesel at 125. And as far as India itself is concerned, at 102.12, and diesel is at 95.20 in terms of the prices. Let's quickly open this up and take it across to our guest now. All right, joining us at the moment is Charu Pragya, spokesperson of the BJP. Tehseen Poonawala, political analyst, is joining us. And let me start with you first. Tehseen, now we've seen the Congress party try and make this an issue of governance, saying that oil marketing companies have profiteered much in the past. But the fact is that every major economy in the world has seen that rise in crude prices being passed on to the end consumer. So why should the case of India be any different, is what the government is saying.
Thank you, Madhav. Good evening for having me on the show, and congratulations on the new format. I must say it is fantastic, and it brings a perspective to the audience from all sides, and good to have Charu on the show. Look, fact number one, every single economy that you're speaking about, what is their per capita income versus India? That's first. Two, all of these countries that you spoke about, what were they charging us? What were they charging their citizens during COVID when oil price had fallen to minus $10 a barrel? Almost nil. What did India do? India actually, I was on Times Now that night, raised the prices during COVID. So during good times, you don't give us relief. During bad times, you want us to pay more. And the government of India, I'm not talking about the oil marketing companies, in the past 11 years have earned 40 lakh crores, out of which they've given 3 lakh crores for the oil bonds. So you've earned 37 lakh crores. The figures you put out in your wonderful introduction, 19,500 crores only in this quarter the oil marketing company has. And your viewers will be shocked to know, Madhav, at the moment, at the current oil prices, the government of India is earning 15 rupees on diesel and 22 rupees on petrol, depending on where you are. Now, if you're earning 15 and 22 rupees, all I'm saying is reduce that, end the freebies that you're giving for 3 months and give us relief. You're giving Ladki Behan, you're giving freebies away. Reduce the money the government of India is earning for 3 or 4 months. If you want us to sacrifice, why can't the government sacrifice when it's earned 40 lakh crores from us in the past 11 years?
Charu, would you like to respond to that? That, even in the past, when they were, globally the crude oil prices had dropped, that point of time also the government had said, look here, we're building up a buffer. We're going to invest all of this in the infrastructure of the country. And the buffer is for when prices go up. So once prices have gone up, why not absorb it? Why is this then being passed on is a question that opposition is asking.
Good evening, Madhav, and good evening, Tehseen, and good evening to all our viewers. Madhav, let me simplify this, because what Tehseen seems to be doing is whitewashing the entire scenario. Number one, when the government has been investing money in the Indian infrastructure, and you see the level at which Indian infrastructure has risen, whether it is making highways or making airports, it has been at a rapid pace never seen before. Point number two, petrol prices in India have more or less remained steady during COVID, during the Russia-Ukraine war, during the Indo-Pak war, during the US-Iran crisis, global recession, supply chain collapse, and other countries in the world have hiked their prices anywhere from 30% to even 86%. Even today, what is the price hike in India? Around 5%. So you compare it to the global scenario, India is not isolated. India doesn't live on a planet entirely of its own. We are connected to the global economy in many ways. And if we are able to keep these prices, even till now, under 5% hike, I think India has done exceedingly well. The second thing is that in March, the government has reduced excise to make sure that the losses on oil companies do not go up by 10 rupees on petrol and on diesel. That is helping the consumers only at the end of the day. Lastly, and very importantly, I want to ask Tehseen, tell me, 10 years of UPA, if you look at 2004 to 2014, there was 115% price rise in petrol and diesel, 115%. Please tell me the reason for that. In 2012, 2013, when there was this entire scenario change, what did the government do? Oil bonds and what not, and you put the people of India at the mercy of others. So much so that we were suffering for a very long time. If you look at NDA, even in 10 years, the price hike on fuel has been below 35%.
Let me bring in Tehseen on 2 points. Tehseen, there is also another aspect of looking at this.
And we can also look at Congress rule states if you want, Madhav.
The point being made over here is that A, there have been excise duty cuts, and B, the government is saying that this is the first fuel price hike in over 4 years. That's also an undeniable fact, isn't it?
Charu made 3 very important points. First point, she compared it to UPA. I'm glad she didn't go to Nehru era. But in UPA, prices had touched $160 a barrel. However, the average price during UPA was $98 a barrel, whereas the average price during Modi Ji's tenure has been $57 a barrel. Now, in a connected world, during COVID, you don't bring it down. That time, you build up a buffer. Just this quarter, you earned 19,500 crore rupees. What is that money for? At least give us relief with that money. The point is the government is continuing its freebies. For example, in these elections that just went through the Assam, West Bengal elections, when I was on Times Now, BJP spokesmen would mock us by when we would say post-elections they will raise the prices by saying it is Modi Ji, have faith in Modi Ji, we will not raise the prices. And as soon as the elections got over, you raised it. Whereas in the elections, you are promising free LPG. All I'm asking the government to do is we all have to sacrifice. We understand it's a West Asia crisis, not Prime Minister Modi's making. Why aren't you sacrificing your revenue? Why aren't you stopping your freebies? What use is Ladki Behna at this point? 3 months stop Ladki Behna. 3 months stop.
And Jadu answer that, and I'd also like to ask you an additional question. That we've seen the hikes of about 7 rupees, 7.5 odd rupees. Now the shortfall that the government has is about 18 to 20 rupees as per estimates. So are we going to look at more hikes happening? Is that something that we should be bracing ourselves for in coming days?
No, absolutely not. And Tehseen, with utmost respect, I want to say this. What you are calling freebies today is actually what is making India into a welfare state. And it is because of these efforts that 25 crore plus people have risen out of poverty in our country in very recent times. And this is important to note because not every random person can go and claim a free cylinder of LPG. And please stop pretending that's how it is. There are very many criteria, and the criteria are so minute that to qualify for that, you really have to be on the lowest rung of the ladder when it comes to the way you live your everyday life. And that is very important because today India's rise is dependent on the rise of the last person. So please, let's not compare and let's not bring in whatever you're calling freebies, because we are a welfare state and it's only because of that we are able to rise today. As for further price increases, let me say this cautiously and optimistically, Madhav. Today the prices of per barrel have gone down, and that number has just come in front of us very recently. And oil prices are not like the stock market that you can keep tracking it every single day, going up and down, and you dealing like that. The fact is that now
actually the data is available every single day.
No, of course there is. Yes. But that what I'm trying to say is that the prices seem to be coming down. There seems to be a lull, and I'm optimistically saying this. I don't think there's going to be a reason for any further increases. And because we were also talking about inflation.
Well, Charu Pragya, if there is an increase, you're here. You're going to come back on the show and discuss this issue. Tehseen is also going to perhaps join us at a future date. But for the moment, I'd like to thank both of you for joining us with your perspectives on this very important story that all are certainly very closely looking at.